I had been pretending most of my life, pretending I wasn't exhausted, pretending I didn't miss my husband, pretending my son couldn't hear me cry at night. So when a man I barely knew asked me to pretend to be his wife, I should have said no. But survival has a way of making lies feel like lifelines. Every Thursday at 7:15 p.m., he came in. Same booth, same order. Black coffee, meatloaf, extra gravy, never dessert. I noticed him before he noticed me, not because he was handsome, though he was, but because he carried silence like a habit, not a mood. His name was Isaiah Walker. I knew because he paid with a card and always left the receipt behind. I was Amara Collins, 42, widowed, single mom, working doubles at a diner off Highway 19 because grief doesn't pay rent. For months, we spoke in small pieces of life. "How's your boy?" he asked one night, nodding toward the picture tucked into my wallet. "Growing faster than I can keep up," I said. His smile told me he understood that kind of loss. My husband Marcus died 3 years earlier. He was 39. A heart attack in our kitchen. 1 minute laughing, the next gone. No warning, no goodbye. Medical bills ate the savings. Grief ate the rest. And I learned how to survive instead of live. Isaiah never asked questions. He just noticed when my hands shook from exhaustion and left bigger tips on those nights. One Thursday, he stayed past closing. Lights low, coffee burned. "My grandmother is dying," he said. I didn't respond. People say things when they're tired. "She wants to meet you." I laughed softly. "You don't even know me like that." He looked at me then, really looked at me. "She already knows you." My stomach tightened. 2 nights later, he came early, 7 p.m., nervous, hands clasped. "I need to ask you something and you can say no." I sat. My grandmother's will has conditions. I already didn't like where this was going. She believes family should be built on love, not loneliness. If I'm not married or engaged in 90 days, the inheritance goes to a cousin who will sell everything. I blinked hard. "You're asking me to pretend to be your wife?" "Yes." Silence pressed in. "What do I get?" I asked, because survival taught me not to be ashamed. He slid an envelope across the table. The number made my chest ache. Enough for my son's future. Enough to breathe again. "I don't want to hurt you," Isaiah said. "Then don't make me fall in love with you," I said quietly. He nodded. "I won't." He was wrong. If this story is pulling you in already, make sure you subscribe to Romance Story Narrator. The next part changes everything. The next morning, I met Betty Walker, 87, sharp-eyed, southern soft voice that missed nothing. She held my hands and smiled like she'd been waiting. "You're Ruth's baby," she said. My breath caught. "My mama worked for my sister," Betty said gently. "You used to sit on the back steps with a biscuit bigger than your hand." I remembered. "You were kind then," Betty said. "You still are." I understood then. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a memory choosing me back. We wore rings. I took pictures, practiced stories, and somewhere between pretending and routine, the lie grew roots. Isaiah learned my coffee order. I learned he hated sleeping alone. He learned my son's favorite cereal. I learned the sound of his laugh when he forgot to guard it. One night after my shift, he drove me home. Rain streaked the windshield. "This was supposed to be simple," he said. I nodded. His hand brushed mine, and I realized the truth too late. I wasn't pretending anymore. Jalen heard the argument before he heard the words. Not yelling, whispers. "Mom, this isn't real," he said from the hallway. I turned slowly. "How long?" he asked. "How long were you planning to pretend?" I sat on the couch like my legs gave out. "Until I could breathe again," I whispered. His voice cracked. "You taught me not to lie." That night, Jalen stopped talking much, and Isaiah noticed. Isaiah found Jalen in the driveway fixing his bike. "Are you using my mom?" Jalen asked without looking up. Isaiah swallowed. "No." "Then why does this feel fake?" Isaiah didn't have an answer, and that silence followed him for days. The dinner wasn't about celebration. It was about inspection. Isaiah's cousin Mark smiled too much. "So Amara," he said, swirling his drink, "what's it like stepping into a family like ours?" The table went quiet. "I'm not stepping into anything," I said softly. "Temporary," Mark added lightly. "That's the word, right?" Isaiah stiffened. No one defended me, not even him. I set my fork down and walked out. I took the ring off, put it in the drawer, went back to work. Jalen hugged me that night. "I just want you to choose yourself," he said. I cried into his shoulder. Betty took a turn 3 days later. Isaiah sat by her bed. "She left," he whispered. Betty opened her eyes. "No," she said, "you let her leave." Those were her last clear words. Betty Walker died 2 days later. 2 weeks passed. No calls, no messages, no Thursdays. I learned how to breathe without expecting him. Isaiah learned what it felt like to lose something he hadn't protected. Thursday came anyway. 7:15 p.m. The bell above the diner door rang. I didn't look up. Black coffee, meatloaf, extra gravy. My hands froze. Isaiah stood there, not rushed, not nervous, certain. "I'm not here to talk about money," he said quietly. "I'm here to talk about us." The diner was empty. "I should have spoken at that table," he said. "I should have chosen you when it mattered." I crossed my arms to keep from shaking. "And now?" I asked. "I'm choosing you," he said. "No contracts, no conditions, no inheritance. If you walk away, I'll still be glad I loved you." Silence stretched. Then I stepped out of the booth. "You're late," I said. He nodded. "I know." "But you came," I whispered, and for the first time, I let him hold me without pretending. 2 weeks later, we sat side by side in the lawyer's office. No rings, no promises yet, just hands quietly touching. The lawyer cleared his throat. Betty Walker amended her will. Isaiah stiffened. The estate, properties, and trust are to be divided equally between Isaiah Walker and Amara Collins. My breath caught. There is also a letter. He read, "I knew the moment you stopped pretending. Love that is chosen without reward is the only love worth blessing." Isaiah closed his eyes. I squeezed his hand. This time, the money came after the love. exactly where it belonged. We didn't rush. We dated. He came to Jalen's games. I cooked in his kitchen. We learned from each other without pretending. And on a quiet Thursday evening, sitting in that same booth, Isaiah finally asked, "Would you marry me? For real this time?" I smiled through tears. "Yes," I said, because this time no one was pretending.